Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Good Bad Score. I'm Collin.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we're going to be talking about the latest courtroom drama, The Trial of the Chicago 7. The Trial of the Chicago 7 is written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, who is well known for writing The Social Network, A Few Good Men, and various others highly praised projects. The movie centers on 7 individuals who are trialed against different crimes, all related to this one controversial riot between the police and rioters. The film covers racism, government, and how people are charged. It's a period piece set in the late 60s that has a lot to do with what's going on in our world today. Now, Andrew, we're going to start off. What did you like about the Trial of the Chicago 7?
Well, first off, I just got to begin with a fun fact. This movie was shot at my college, Fairleigh Dickinson University. They shot part of that movie at that school at the Vanderbilt Mansion, which is an old mansion that's been there for like over about 100, maybe 200 years old, 100. I don't know. It's a very popular mansion at the school, and they shot parts of the movie there. So it was really cool to see that it was filmed there. That's not only the first time they've done it at Fairleigh Dickinson. They've also shot Beautiful Mind there as well. So it is no surprise they would pick an iconic mansion that kind of fits the bill for that particular movie. So going on about the Trial of the Chicago 7, I did not know what to expect going into this movie. Sometimes with trial movies, they can be very dull, slow, and dry, but this movie does not disappoint. This is by far the best movie of the year, and that's saying a lot because a lot of movies that I've seen that have gone to streaming have not been that impressive. Maybe only one or two. That's it. But this movie is just excellent. The writing by Aaron Sorkin is spot on perfect. His writing is just really good. And what I really enjoyed about his writing, I mean, there's just so many great lines. There's so many great dialogue that each of these characters that are being testified give to their roles. He really gives them each of their moments to shine, which I thought was really well done. And there's not one weak character in this movie. They're all really good. It really honors these people who spoke for what they believed what was right. It's a very relevant movie when you finish watching it. It's very heavy because so much that has been happening in today's society is still happened back in that time when you see this movie. The best part about this movie is the acting. This has an incredible cast. It's an all-star cast. You have Michael Keaton, you have Eddie Redmayne, you have Sacha Baron Cohen, you have Mark Rylance, and many other great actors. Sacha Baron Cohen, he is an underrated actor. He's picked some really just pure garbage movies, and yet he can pick some really amazing movies, and this one is by far one of his best performances. He's really good. Yes, he's funny. He does a good job playing a hippie, and he's convincing as that role, but he's not over the top. He plays both humor and very sincere as well. There's a really good scene with him and Eddie Redmayne towards the third act where the two of them are having like this argument about this possibility of a particular historical figure was still alive. Would they be in this mess? Would the country have been different at that time? It's a really good moment. That's actually probably one of my favorite scenes. While the cast is all great, like I said, I think they're all fantastic. If I had to pick one in particular, would be Mark Rylance. Mark Rylance is, to me, I think he steals the show. He is so good as the lawyer. He has a great presence. He's just so likable in every movie he does, and he absolutely deserves an Oscar nomination. Even Sacha Baron Cohen, too. What really also is a key thing that helps this movie, too, is the editing. When all of them are testifying at court, they do a good job editing, showing B-roll footage of the event. And I like how they tease you with the rioting. They don't show it to you in the beginning. They kind of tease you with it, showing little bits and pieces of it until we get to the third act. So that's my good about the Trial of the Chicago 7. Collin, what is your good about the film?
Well, going off of everything you said, Andrew, you can't talk about this movie without mentioning Aaron Sorkin and his incredible dialogue. Aaron Sorkin is the king of making rather dull premises into something that is edge of your seat entertainment. It is incredible the way that he is able to have every single character matter. There's honestly, this is going into the cast too, this is a movie where There's not a single wasted character. Everyone has great dialogue. They're giving great performances. It's even to the point where all the actors are kind of fighting to be the best. Like you say, every person is going to come out with a different person that they had stand out to them. It's a film that's so good that you have someone like Eddie Redmayne who's given a terrific performance. And honestly, he is an afterthought in my eyes just because of the talent and the great characters in this movie. You mentioned Mark Rylance. Well, yes, he was fantastic in the movie. I gotta give it up to what is going to be the 2020 movie villain of the year, which is Judge Hoffman, played by Frank Langella. He is absolutely amazing. He definitely deserves that supporting nomination. It is something to where you cannot describe. He is a very no-nonsense, very kind of unfair judge who literally will do whatever he wants to get his verdict. Like you say, you have Mark Rylance, who's given, as much as you always see him as the kind of like the wise old kind of hero. In this one, while he is very much kind of in charge of everyone, it is something, it's so subtle the way that he's able to kind of give a different performance. But then you get his rival, which is Frank Langella, who literally is so captivating in this movie. And it's hard to say, it's a shame that we can't talk about all these characters because there is so much awesomeness to have in this movie. I would just say the last thing I would say is just how it's a movie that is it's an over 2 hour long courtroom drama that mostly takes place in the courtroom, one room, and yet they're able to pace the film beautifully to where you're never bored. It's a rather straightforward story that is told in a little out of sequence that makes it a lot more engaging than if it was told from beginning to end. So Andrew, we've been gushing over the Trial of Chicago 7, but did you have any complaints with the movie?
Here's what I'm going to just say. This movie can feel very cliche, like any other typical court movies, particularly with the ending. The ending, you know, while the ending is impactful, it does feel at times a little bit forced at that final scene. But I think Aaron Sorkin was probably trying to figure out how can we try to really make this final scene impactful and what the real message of this movie is about and what those political activists were trying to do and accomplish. So I think that was the message behind it. I feel like there maybe could have been other alternatives they could have done with it, but it doesn't really bother me. There are little moments in this movie that feel just a bit dry and that kind of just felt zoned out. Other than that, though, I have very little complaints about this movie. I mean, like I said, it feels a bit dry, but like compared to like Moneyball that Aaron Sorkin wrote, which is also a good movie. If I had to pick between Moneyball and this movie, I would pick this movie. This movie is way more interesting. I feel more engaged with it. Moneyball is kind of a little bit more it's more of a slow-paced movie compared to this. But I think with the editing and like I said earlier, it just helps this movie be more interesting.
So all my negatives with this movie is all nitpicks. I would say the beginning, probably 5 minutes as they're setting things up, it has that feeling it's going to be a dry political courtroom drama. Once the courtroom scenes begin, it completely picks up. I mentioned the end, like you say, Andrew. What one character does, how he is the main center of the ending, it's great. I think that it was set up beautifully. I think the emotions behind it is great, but everything surrounding it is beyond cliche to a courtroom drama that doesn't make sense. If I could fix anything about this movie, it would be that ending of what's going around this main character that's speaking. I'll say the final thing is this movie has, as much as the trailers are kind of promoting it as it has a lot to do with the Black Panthers and the mistreatment of this one African American man, while that subplot is very emotional, it has one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the entire movie. After that scene, that entire subplot's just gone. I kind of wanted to see a wrap up to that side, to the Black Panther subplot, especially how it was such a big component of it. And yet, once that is resolved, and rightfully so, it just ends. It doesn't really come back into play. I kind of would have liked something where you kind of met back with them or something like that. I feel like there was just an extra scene that would have made that subplot perfect. But other than that, I think that this is definitely one of the best movies of the year. That is really not saying much, though, because not a lot of movies came out this year. But even still, looking back at all the movies we would have seen up at this point, I still said this would have been one of the best movies of the year in a typical normal year without the coronavirus. Well, Andrew, I'm going to lead into guessing each other's scores now. With this movie, you've been praising it a lot. You have very little complaints, and especially with how it has a personal connection with you, with how they filmed at your school. I'm going to predict that you're going to give this a 9.5 out of 10.
So I have been thinking about this long and hard. I've been very contemplating about what score I should give this, because this is really good. My negatives are really just minor nitpicks, but thinking about so far into our YouTube channel, the highest score I've given a movie was a 9.5 out of 10, which is for Iron Man. I'm gonna give a very high score. I'm gonna give The Trial of Chicago 7 a 10 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting that one.
First 10 out of 10 on our show. So, Colin, I'm going to guess your score. Okay. You really enjoyed this movie, I think, just as much as I did. Your complaints, just like me, was very, very mild. So, I think you are going to give this movie a 10 out of 10.
Wow, okay. So far, we've made history on this channel. We have the first 10 out of 10 rating. Like you said, this is an incredible movie. This is something that demands to be seen. You gotta see this movie. Luckily, it is going to be on Netflix on October 16th. So if it's before October 16th, mark your calendars for that day. If it's after October 16th, what are you doing? Go watch The Trial of the Chicago 7. However, we're not gonna make two records today, as I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10. Well, anyway, like we said, we've been gushing about this. We've been telling you to go see The Trial of Chicago 7. But before you do, make sure to subscribe to our channel, GoodBadScore. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Share this video with all your friends. Make sure that everyone make sure the word gets out to go watch The Trial of Chicago 7, and also to subscribe to our channel. So, please leave a comment, your thoughts on the movie, your thoughts on us, any recommendations you want us to do for future reviews. And as always, I'm Colin.
And I'm Andrew.
And make sure to go and mark your calendars to watch The Trial of Chicago 7.